Hello everyone. Can you hear me? Uh, can somebody say that whether they can hear me or not? Say yes. Hello. Hi. Hello. Am I audible? Yeah. Thank you, Harish. Let's wait for some 30 seconds or 1 minute so that we can start the session. So, uh, currently now I am in Kanha National Park. I'm in the buffer zone. I came for a visit. Uh, I'm I'm an officer training in the nearby East Malla division. So I'm on my way like back to the my own division. So let us start the session. Uh, I am Vijayanandam TR, Indian Forest Service Officer, IFS Officer of 2018 batch from Madhya Pradesh cadre. And I did of foundational course, and after that 16.5 months of uh, professional training at Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy. During this time, I have visited around 21 states, 5 union territories, and 3 countries. So all our tours are based on forest, wildlife, and the culture of the people. So from when it comes to national parks, I have visited from Hemis in the north to Gulf of Mannar in the south, from Gir in the west to Eagle Nest in the east. So I am a computer science engineer in the background, and hello. Hello. Yeah, I'm a computer science engineering and a software developer, and I started after clearing IFS. I started as a serious hobby, and then now I'm into the photography. So through my lens, I started observing birds, which gave me some knowledge about wildlife and landscape and relation between them. So my favorite place is Bharatpur, Kelidio Ghana National Park, which is like one of the best national parks and like one of the best sanctuary and one of the best place to take photographs. Then that's a heaven on earth. I have roamed the length and breadth of Bharatpur, and I had a photography trip, and I observed a lot of birds there, and it was one of the very good moment, very good days I have spent in Bharatpur. So when you start observing birds, you will realize, started recognizing the smallest things in the life. For example, when I was in Bharatpur, I was photographing common kingfisher. It used to do like move between one or two, three branches, and from that after observing it for 1 hour, I got to know that currently I'm switching off the comment section. I will switch it on after half an hour because they gave me some 10 to 15 questions. I will first answer that, and I will come to comment section to answer your questions. Thank you. Yeah. So when I started observing them, that small bird, for that small bird, that branch matters. It used to sit on that branch and get its prey every day, every single day. For me, that branch is nothing. Just one can go and break that branch, and it not matters to him. But for that small bird, that branch is its home. It is territory, and it's the place where it feel the belonging. So by observing birds, I started realizing and recognizing the smallest things in the life and in our environment too. So coming to the point, one person have asked me like what you have learned from nature. See, I have learned a lot of things from the nature. First thing is like we have to cherish smallest things in the nature in our life. See, every time you cannot be like sure you'll be happy, you won't be getting happy moments or happiest moment or very high moments. But when you started appreciating small things in your life, you will be very happy. So for example, if you are going to a tiger reserve, for example, you come to Kanha itself. When you are not sighting the tiger, you will feel like the entire day is wasted. But when you start observing the birds in Kanha, that around 150 bird species are here, then you won't get disappointed even if you didn't see the tiger. So this nature taught me, like, start appreciating the smallest things you will content every day in your life. Second, local species matters. For example, we are going to tourist spot and we are like promoting tourism there. But do you know that those money that you are spending mostly going to a outsider of that area, not to the locals. You are not staying in a local guest house. You are not getting the dining in the local cuisine. You are not buying the local products. There also you go and buy some international brand. There also you go and buy in some stay in some international hotels or like a big hotel chains. So it means like you are not really promoting the concept of conservation. You start buying local. You dine in the local cuisines. That's the way you conserve nature. So these two things are like very much important for today. So now many people ask me like why wildlife is not safe nowadays. See, we can't say that the wildlife is not safe, but definitely they face lot of threats. For example, it's not only our population, but increase in wildlife population also matters. See, increase in our population means we are encroaching into their space. Second, when their population increased too much because of our intervention, there will be too much of man-animal conflict. For example, in many areas, in many tiger reserves, the many tigers population is increasing beyond their carrying capacity, where they are now coming into conflict with human areas. So we have to deal it with scientifically conserving the so we have to balance both our population also and wildlife population also, so that we can cohabit with them. Say prey, cover and habitat. Every animal needs all the three. For example, take prey. For example, take prey. Take prey. When we are not appreciating the grassland as much we appreciate the forest areas. So when the grasslands are not given importance, then where the herbivores will go and graze. Where there is no grassland, there will be no herbivores, and if there is no herbivores, there won't be no carnivores at all. We always think like only the trees are the forest areas, but no, the grassland provides maximum biodiversity, and they sustains the maximum biodiversity. So we have to promote grasslands more and equal to the forest. We have to give them equal importance. We should not see the grasslands as wastelands, and that is not at all useful. Wherever you go, you can find herbivores only in the grasslands, not deep inside the forest. So next is overgrazing and stray dogs. Nowadays, from olive ridleys to deers in the national parks, olive ridleys in the beaches to the deers in the national parks, they face threats from cattle and stray dogs. These are because of humans. Like if nature is left to its own, there will be a balance in the population. But we promote particular set of cattle. They overgraze and they take the area of grazing animals. Secondly, stray dogs. Stray dogs is because we dump our waste outside openly. They come and feed on them. Because of stray dog menace, now the cheetahs are like small deers. They are get like attacked by these stray dogs. Because of the stray dogs, which is an easy prey, the leopards are coming into cities and feeding on the stray dogs. So these are all started by us humans, and this become like a problem to the wild animals. Now coming to the cover. Every animal needs a cover. It needs a safe place to stay. It needs a safe place to breed. It needs a safe place to wait for its prey. But because of our intervention, the cover is reducing nowadays. There are very less number of bushes, and whatever bushes are there now, it's increasingly encroached by the invasive alien species like lantana camera. I have seen in Bandipur where an elephant tries to hit on the lantana camera like it is hitting on a wall to move inside the forest. Elephant is like such a huge animal, its way is obstructed by lantana camera, which is an invasive species. So the cover also matters. Next come to habitat. As I already stated, because of encroachment, because of climate change, the habitat of animals are like being destroyed like anything. Third is poaching. We always say like poaching is such a minor crime. No, poaching is one of the top 3 transnational cross-border crime in the world. Poaching from the terrorism to drug mafias, everybody releasing poaching because rhino horns and the myths associated with rhino horn and tiger skin promotes poaching like anything. So these are some of the threats the wildlife is facing. Second, one person has asked me, sir, what is nature? Where you feel the belongingness. Nature is a place where there is no human imprint at all, or where there is no human imprint, very less human imprint. So nature is a place where you will feel that you are feel like you are in your mother's lap or in your mother's home. So nature is such a beautiful place, and we should not destroy that. Coming to the next question. So what is my stand on the recent Kerala incident that happened to the pregnant elephant? See, according to the recent report, it said that with crackers at wild boar, and people are justifying that that is okay. But see, that wild boar is also protected under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. It's a Schedule 3 animal. So if you want to kill them, there needs to be a proper declaration by state as a vermin, and the wildlife warden has to permit. For example, Kerala has declared it as a vermin. Now, if it is a vermin, means can anyone kill? No, nobody can kill the wild boar except other than the licensed people with the licensed gun or the forest officers. So now people are saying that it's aimed at wild boar and not at the elephant. So the elephant had that for the wild boar, and justifying that it's okay, what we shall do like that. But did the person who kept the pineapple and the crackers, is authorized to do so for the wild boar itself? No, he is not at all authorized. So that wild boar which is declared as a vermin can be killed by only the people with licensed gun or the forest officers, and not a common aimed at wild boar, but the elephant ate it, and what I can do. So this is not the right way of dealing, and as per law that is also a offense. Next, some people have asked me which is the best photography place in India. From my experience of past 2 years, for example, for bird lovers, Bharatpur, Eagle Nest, Talchapar, Vedanangal, Rangantittu, Puliket are some of the very beautiful places. For tiger lovers, the good sighting will be in Bandhavgarh, Kanha, Ranthambore, Mudumalai and Kabini. For Black Panther, you definitely should visit Kabini. For lions, of course, Gir National Park. For landscape and wild animals, Jim Corbett will be good, Ranthambore will be good, Kabini will be good. Even Ladakh is very good. I have visited once for our training for the Hemis National Park, which is a sanctuary for snow leopard. They are maintaining the place very good, and it's very pristine. And there are homestays available, and that's one of the very good example for homestay concept and ecotourism, where locals are roped in as a guide, as a bird watching experts and all, and the local cuisine is promoted there. So that is the real ecotourism, and you should appreciate those tourism. So one girl has asked me sir, I am some 4 feet 10 inch height, whether I am eligible for Indian Forest Service. Yes, for guys above 150 centimeter and girls above 140 centimeter is allowed in Indian Forest Service. So 4 feet 10 inch means you will be normally coming under 147 centimeter, and you are very much eligible. So you can start your preparation. Now, many people are asking me how photography can be used as a tool for conservation. See, this is a photography, the Instagram page that promotes photography. So it's a right page where I can raise awareness about photography and conservation. So photography is just a tool for conservation. Just because you click some pictures, it's not like you are conserving that wildlife. Just because you clicking that picture and posting and tagging in Instagram, it's not like you are conserving that animal. Even if you didn't click the picture, the animal will be conserved. The government is functioning. But what you should do through photography, you can create only getting likes and not raising the voice for conservation. It means you are not doing anything at all. So when you are uploading a picture or your picture you've taken in any national park or of any wild animal, to write some description about that animal, description about that bird, where that bird is found, what is the threat that bird is facing, what we have to do. For example, if you go through my Instagram page, wherever possible I have added good content along with my photograph, the threats faced by the animal. just in that. So raise some awareness through your photograph rather than just posting and getting likes. It's of no use to the animals. See, if you are getting something from the wildlife, if you are getting, you should give back, right? It's you are getting likes and you are enjoying pleasure over it. You are getting some what awards from it. You are getting earning out of it. Means you have to give back to that wild. How you will give back? By raising the voice, by raising your concerns for the environmental issues, by creating awareness, by rallying the public opinion toward the environment cause. So all the photographers should engage in it by just clicking. It not even matters for conservation actually. So kindly rethink your thoughts, kindly rethink your strategy, like how to promote conservation through photography. You can do all these things. So some of the other ways, like follow ethical photography, like while clicking pictures, don't chase the animal, don't throw stones or like to take flying shots. I have seen many people who throwing the stones to take flying shots. I think we have a good bird fly and take a flying shot. This is very unethical. You are intruding into their space and clicking the picture and getting the pleasure out of it. It's absolutely wrong. Follow ethical principles of photography. Don't shout or don't make noise so that the animal looks at you and you take some eye to eye shot. So these are all unethical practices and you are not doing anything good at all to the conservation activity. So many people I have seen entering the park without paying the fee for camera. How much is going to cost for you? 45 rupees, 50 rupees, maybe 300 rupees. You are getting happiness out of it, right? And the park nowadays, many of the national parks are suffering without funds. So you love animals, you love wild animals, you want to click those wild animals, pay the amount, right? You should pay those amount, like just 300 rupees, 200 rupees for your camera, DSLR and tripod. You should pay for those small fees that will help that national park and the management to survive and to promote the conservation activity. And if you are not doing that and just clicking the photograph and say that I am a conserver, like I am through my photography I am conserving, well, like, no, you are not at all doing that. And many big photographers, professionals are like conducting workshop inside over there and clicking pictures. Yeah, it's very good. It's a photography is a hobby. You can learn, no issues. But you are charging some huge amount like 20,000, 30,000 per workshop. And at the same time, their park management is suffering without enough funds. And you can sponsor them, right? If you are conducting a workshop for 2 days, 3 days, for 3 lakhs or 2 lakhs, you can give some 10% of that money to the park management, or buy them some cycles, or like buy them some rickshaws, or buy them some vehicles. You can do something like that, and from your money that you are earning from that park by paying just 100 or 3 lakhs. So you should give back to the wild. That's a way you should conserve. That's the way we want people to participate in the wildlife conservation. Okay, so kindly think about it. I request all the professional photographers who are like doing workshop in the national parks, kindly think about it, like giving some 5% or 10% of the total income of every year to the park that they are earning majorly. So this is to give back to the conservation through photography. Now next, how to like during your photography trips, you are staying in some luxury hotels. Yeah, you can stay in luxury hotel, not an issue. If it is in eco-friendly manner, you can definitely say. But I would like to suggest you to go for homestays, promote the local people, their employment opportunity, give them, eat the local food, local cuisines, get some local snacks, recruit local guides. So it will help them in to promote the conservation of that area, because you just go for 2-3 days and come back. But those people, they are going to stay there forever. So if you want that wild to be pristine there, you need cooperation of that people. So for your 2-3 days of happiness, their livelihood, they are giving, sacrificing lot and adjusting lot for the wildlife from their lives. So you have to appreciate their tolerance. So that's the best way, is to give back to them, employ them, give some chance to them to showcase their talent, their enjoy their cuisine, homestay, get some local products from them. That's the best way to promote conservation through photography. Now, somebody has asked me like conservation versus photography, which we will choose. Definitely conservation. Photography is just a tool for conservation. So now, what should I do to protect the forest? Many people has asked me. So see, you no need to visit the forest every day or like come and collect some. In your home itself, you can do protect your forest. One way is like reducing your carbon footprint. Buy local items. So by this way, for example, if you are buying some branded products and if it's coming from some other country to your place, it is having lot of carbon footprint in it. But if you are going for local products, for example hand sanitizer, buy some local hand sanitizer like made of aloe vera and neem. This means you are protecting the local the carbon footprint of your product that you are buying. By this way, you can promote conservation efforts and avoid plastics. Take your own bag, go with your cloth bags. So this is the way to change. By changing simple things of your life, you can protect the nature. Be conscious of your choices. Visit the local forest first of all. So many people think like they have to go to Thailand, and many people have to think like South Africa tour. Have you ever visited all the national parks in your state? But we always think like that is which is distant, that is better. So promote your local national parks, sanctuaries, bird sanctuaries, explore new areas, suggest new sanctuaries, new butterfly parks and all. Go local, that's the best way. And the another thing I want to say, like we don't want few people doing perfect green as doing working practicing green as a green warrior imperfectly. One person has asked me like, what is your insane moment in your training or like forest? First, in Bharatpur, I went to Bharatpur to click the pictures of Saras Kal. 2-3 days I have roamed the length and breadth of forest. I have Bharatpur and I sighted Saras Crane also, but I could not click the pictures of its call because first I have to wait for it to call, right? And I tried, but it didn't call. So it was the last day. I had to catch my train back to Dehradun, back to my academy. So for one last time I tried. When the park was about to wind up in the evening, suddenly my rickshaw puller, he heard a call at a distant place. So he took us to there. Immediately he like cycled at very fast pace, like and in the track, and he took us near to the place where the car is coming, and we were like around 10 to 50 meter away from Saras. That was the moment when I saw the Saras call for the first time. It was like a goosebump moment. It's like seeing the heaven for the first time. And it's such a beautiful place, and sadly Saras are facing a lot of threats like encroachment by agriculture and pollution. Lot of things are there, and stray dogs spraying on their eggs. So these are some issues we are facing. Park managers are doing their best to avoid this. Coming to the next insane moment is Eagle Nest. Have you ever visited Eagle Nest Sanctuary in Arunachal Pradesh? It's one of the very second most bird diverse place in the world after Andes in the western countries. So this park has around 400 plus bird varieties at a single place. So this park is developed by the community itself and promoted by the community itself, and the forest department is just hand-holding them for a sustainable livelihood generation. Local people are taking as bird guides, drivers, bird watchers, tourist guides, adventurous activities. Lot of the things are done by the local people only. They are having local cuisines, local homestays, and it's absolutely a perfect example for ecotourism. So I suggest you to visit Eagle Nest at least once in your lifetime. It's a very beautiful place. Now, one person has asked me like how drones will affect the birds. I haven't researched a lot about it, but I can say effects are very less because drones, unlike our cars and two-wheelers, has restriction. Okay, you cannot just like that fly a drone in a bird area like sanctuaries and national park, you need a lot of permission. So the traffic is very less, so the effect is also less. But you should be very careful when you are flying a drone in the near the nest or vulture areas like Panna and all. So that's what I can say now, because there was no much research on the effects of drone on the animals. Now many people have asked me like, what is the effect of lockdown on wild animals and forest in general. See, you have read lot of things about animals coming in into the road, into the urban areas, even into the houses during the lockdown. I can say my live example. Today, I have when I was 2 weeks before, I was in my academy. Leopard my academy is Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy, where we were trained for forest and wildlife management in our IFS training. So it lies in the FRA campus, Forest Research Institute in Dehradun. This campus is famous for leopards. There are a lot of leopards, but during the lockdown, the leopards were very free. They were like, their movement is visible. Like every day we used to get CCTV images of leopard moving here and there. But during the normal days, they don't want to used to be come during daytime or even before 8 o'clock in the night. So, but during the lockdown, they were freeing like calmly, and there were no complaints from people also, because it's not interfering the lives of the people. So we are sometimes disturbance to wild animals. We have to try to cohabitate with the wild. And today I came to Kanha National Park. I am now sitting in the Kanha National Park only. I visited Kanha and had a travel from Mukhi range to Kanha range, and there I saw a lot of animals are like sitting on the road. Now it's a tourist season. Actually, it's a peak tourist season, but since there is a lockdown and no tourists are here, and animals are like joyfully sitting on the road, like some 20-30 common langurs are sitting on the road, and Indian gaur was standing on the road, like the whole family is standing, and the view is beautiful. Lot of salt seeds all around, and yes, because of human interference, animals space is getting affected. I won't say that there is no effect on that, but we can't say that humans are a threat to wildlife, because see, in zoos, if humans are stressed to animals, how the animals in the zoos breed? No, right? They won't breed, right? If they are in stress, it shows that if there is a limit to the interference into the wildlife, definitely we can cohabit, and animals also can tolerate us somewhat, because without people having a chance to look at having a chance to cherish wildlife and nature, how can we as forest officers or forest department or environment experts, like how can we expect people to promote conservation? We have to show them, right? You cannot say someone that you need to protect forest without showing that what forest is. You need to protect tiger without showing you what tiger it is. So we have to give them opportunity to see the tigers. We have to give them opportunity to see the forest. This is the way. Ecotourism is the best way to promote conservation and to rally public opinion for the conservation and protection. So this is my opinion on ecotourism and human interference and other things as you asked. Now I think I can go for the comment section, and you can ask questions now. Whatever questions you have, you can ask now. I can try to answer your questions. So one person has asked me like how we can stop poaching near the rural areas. See, first of all, when there is enough employment opportunities, people won't be going into forest, because it's not worth enough to go inside forest and hunt a wildlife, because forest departments are all around. Anyway, we will get information and catch people. So they're risking their life and going into the forest. And what they're earning, not more than like by poaching a wild boar, how much they can earn? 500 rupees, 1000 rupees? If district administration and forest department we join together and give them enough employment opportunities, definitely they won't go. Some may go for thrill, but definitely they won't go, I believe. And because of now lockdown, the poaching has actually increased. many people who are migrant laborers, like who went from this Manda region which I'm staying here as officer training, are coming back to this area. This area is a tribal area. So if some 40,000 migrants are coming back, migrant laborers are coming back to their own place without any employment opportunity, what do you expect from them? Do you want them to sit in the home without any job? It's very difficult to handle, and it's imperative to provide them employment opportunities as soon as possible to avoid people diverting into the poaching activities. It's difficult if there is no people cooperation. It's very difficult. We can't put every forest one forest guard to one wild boar and one tiger. It's nearly impossible without people cooperation. And once the livelihood and status of the people increases, they will automatically move away from forest area and go to small towns and cities, and forest will be automatically protected. So in the long being, like we have to promote education and development with the balance to the environment. This is the way to avoid poaching. Hi sir, can you please throw some light on the facts regarding Malappuram? Yeah, just now I told, right? Even if you aim at a wild boar, killing a wild boar, it's a crime under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Only if Kerala government has declared wild boar as a vermin. So vermin means not like everyone can go and kill it. Only the licensed people with a licensed gun and a forest officer can kill that wild boar. So if certain animal is declared as a vermin and you say that, sir, I aimed at that vermin but elephant had it, that does not mean that you are not guilty. You are absolutely guilty for the crime you did, and currently forest department and police department are working together to find the culprit, and they will definitely catch them. What about awareing children more about nature and childhood? Yeah, this is a very good question by Rahul. Thanks, Rahul. You cannot show your children just wildlife documentaries in YouTube and just showing some pictures. You cannot create awareness to your children. For example, my father took me to a lot of places like Bandipur in Karnataka and Ooty, Kodaikanal. Like he tried to take me to a lot of places where there is nature. So by that way I got love towards nature. So I request you to take your children to nearby forest areas. Go for a small trek with them with the help of forest guard, and plan some during one mahotsav. Participate with your children by planting trees. Today World Environment Day. You could have planted a small sapling with your children and name that sapling in your child name, so that at 20 years after, the child will proudly say that me and my papa did planted this sapling and now it's a big tree, and he takes pride in that. So these are all the small things you can, by that way you can promote your children, making aware of them, rather than taking them to malls and cinemas every week. At least once in a month, take them to nearby forest area, nearby wildlife sanctuary, nearby bird sanctuary. Get them some small binocular or small DSLR camera, so that they can click their pictures and to get to know about the nature. So this way you can create awareness to your children. Tell your experience on wildfires. Sorry, I have zero experience on wildfires because I just now landed in my cadre after training. So my practical experience is very less in the concept of wildfires compared to wildlife. Is wildlife like fauna and flora are safe because of human activities? Can you highlight on them, sir? What can we do to protect? I already answered this question. I will share this video again in the Insta page. You can actually go through that session from the beginning. So I feel like whoever participated enjoyed the session. If you have any more question, you can definitely ask me. Some 10 minutes more I can spend tell my experience. If you have any questions, you can ask me. And many have asked me about the locust issue. See, suddenly how locusts become such a great issue, and I was actually going through some documents. I got to know that Great Indian Bustards prey on locust. Now, because of high voltage power lines, encroachment by agricultural land and stray dogs, Great Indian bustard population is decreasing. Now, Since the Great Indian population, bustard population is decreasing, locust has very less prey in the desert, so they automatically populate like anything and swarm like anything. So when that birds population is decreasing, then the prey, the one that it preys on, it always increase, population increase. We can't do anything. You cannot go and catch every locust. That's why the nature made Great Indian bustard and many other desert birds. So we have to promote biodiversity. We have to protect biodiversity. Without that, how you can expect go and solve each and every problem of nature? Because of our usage of chemical fertilizers in the agricultural areas, because of using of water, chemical dishwashers in our household. Now the frogs are dying in the cities. When is the last time have you heard the frogs noise in your city? No. Now generally frogs feeds on mosquitoes. Now mosquito population is increasing. Now you are saying that mosquito is increasing and administration is doing nothing. No. What we will do, we can't to go and catch each mosquitoes. It's very difficult. Nature has its own balance. We have to protect that balance. Else we have to suffer the consequences. So actually I am not a DFO now. I am an officer trainee and I am attached to my DFO. So currently I am in a learning phase. I am visiting my division, forest areas, wildlife areas, and what's the work going on, and meeting with the people, meeting with the forest guard watchers. I am currently now learning the work. I am just a learner now. I am not a DFO now. Sir, how to report when anything happen on forest? Simple. While traveling, we don't get into how to inform the forest officials. Simple. Wherever there is a forest area, at the end of the road there will be a chowki. That is called forest chowki. There will be a forest guard there. Just stop there and inform that forest guard about whatever you saw with the pictures if you have. If that forest guard is not responsive, just go to your district and call the DFO. That is, call the DFO or the forest department or the forest ranger who is in charge of that district that you are crossing, and tell him the issue that you have seen, or that want to report incident that you want to report. Just call them. The number is easily available in the website. You can do that easily. It's not a big deal. Like calling your police for crime, you can just call your DFO and you can just inform them. There are general numbers are there in the website. You can take from the websites. What keep you motivated to learn over nature? Curiosity. Every day nature teaches me a new lesson. There is no end to learn lesson from nature. Every day I learn new things. Today I learned also a lot of things from Kanha National Park. Every day nature teaches you new things. You won't get bored at all. Whether zoo or national park is a good way to protect the animals and birds. See, we need certain areas which is inviolate, like which is completely protected, to at least give some space for wild animals. But animals won't need a constricted space. They need a corridor. For that we need a landscape based approach. We need to connect the national parks. We need to connect the sanctuaries. So even if they are bifurcated by the roads, we need to find a way to connect by eco bridges, underpasses, overpasses, canopy bridges and all. So we need to go for a landscape based, corridor based concept, and national park is just a start of it. Definitely we are moving towards it. And already snow leopard is managed based on the concept of landscape. It can move from Nepal, Sikkim, Ladakh, Uttarakhand. It moves like anything from here to there. It's a landscape based approach. Have you faced any problem with the local people? What if locals are not willing to cooperate when this makes their duty? Yeah, that's actually true. When local faces lot of man-animal conflicts, they generally won't cooperate, because they are also human beings, right? They also need to lead a good life, and we can't sit in a district headquarters and say that you have to serve with it. So for that we need to provide them enough compensation. We have to give them alternative employment. We have to tell them how you can cohabit. What are the inedible crops or non-palatable crops you can plant so that elephant and wild boar won't attack your crops, won't destroy your crops. We have to say them how you have to raise your fence in such a way that no wild animal will interfere in your life. We have to tell them, we have to monitor the movement of animals so that they can be safe enough to go out and come back. See, they also living with those wild animals for centuries, so they understand. But when things go out of control only, they will come and create little problems. But definitely when we give them solution, they definitely accept it, and definitely they are much cooperative. Happy World Environment Day. Thank you. What suggestions you want to give to all of us about Environment Day, sir? Simple thing. Go for local crafts, plant local saplings, promote local biodiversity, promote local cuisine, promote local guides, local tourists, promote local ecotourism. Whatever you think, whatever you do, try to be local. Try to think around you. You don't need to always think about some park in MP, some park in Ladakh, snow leopard. First, promote your local region. Voice for the conservation of your local species. At many times, we always think about tiger, snow leopard, and forgot the small species in our own area. And by that way, we are losing many species like lesser florican, great Indian bustard. So, local people's effort, local people's support is needed to promote the native species. If you don't care about it, then definitely it will take huge amount of effort and money to save that species from extinction. For example, take Bougainvillea chilaflum eagle nest. So it takes lot of effort to make the species to come back from extinction. So we need the support of locals, and you should do that easily. You can do that easily because it's in your area. This is the my word of advice for World Environment Day. Vanakkam. Why animals are captive in zoo than in national park? Yeah, this is the right question. Many are thinking like animals are meant for wild, and yes, they are meant for wild. Some animals, for example, take tigers. They become man-eaters when they are old. Why? They will lose their teeth once they become old. They cannot hunt deers, cheetahs, or like anything. So what they do is like they will go for easy prey like stray dogs, human beings in the nearby habitat. Second, when there is a territorial fight, the animal will get injured. So it will come near the human habitation, so to go for a easy prey. For those kind of animals, even if you put them in the wildlife parks and national sanctuaries, they won't stay there. They cannot survive there. They will come back to the human habitat and will pose a threat for the conservation itself. For example, if certain people are cooperating for the conservation of 500 tigers, if one tiger come out and kill 2-3 people there, then conservation effort of the whole species, tiger as a species and national park, will become an issue. So for those species that are becoming problem animals, we have no other way to put them in zoo, because that's a way to save them and also save people and also conserve the nature and wildlife also. And not everybody can afford to come to national park and do a safari. Not everybody can go to a tiger resort to see a tiger. And somebody recently asked me like how to create awareness to a child. It's very difficult to for people to afford to come and see the nature. And without we don't need very few people talking about conservation. We need whole nation to talk about conservation. Then only the voice of conservation will have strength. So we need zoos. Zoos are the place where people come and see the nature, come and see the wildlife. By that way, even if nobody from a day where tigers numbers were at decline and was threatened, now tiger number is thriving. Even if one tiger dies in India, it's a headline, top news now. We are celebrating Tiger Day. We are celebrating the growing tiger numbers in India, because voice of common man, not voice of just 10 to 12 conservationists, not voice of just IFS officers. We need public voice. For that we need zoos, and zoos are also the areas which act as a rescue center. For example, some leopard come into human habitation, they hunt some cattle and all. Even if you put them in the forest, they will come back. Leopards are not meant for forest only. They also stay in agriculture area. They stay in pipelines of Mumbai. They come to urban habitats. So when they become a problem animal, what you will do with them? You have to rescue them. For that you need zoos. So for feeding them and all, we need to spend a lot. But by the ticket money you get from the zoos, we can do that. See, when it goes to ethical point of view, yeah, it's wrong. I completely accept. By going a utilitarian concept of maximum benefit for the species rather than a single animal, I feel Even the general concept is that only, to in order to protect the whole species, as a tiger species, as a leopard variety, we are putting some animal, those are problem animals, in zoos. What That's a way. But now the concept as a zoo is very much evolved. Previously it used to be in the cage. Now open zoo concept is coming back. We are like in the cage and animals are roaming like anything. You just start visiting many open bird areas, bird zoos nowadays are coming, where we are inside a zoo, we are inside a closed enclosure, animals are moving like anything. So zoo as a concept is evolving, and it's necessary for promoting awareness. Yeah. Any more questions? I think somebody has asked me a question. What about night safaris in India? Yeah, actually night time is a time where animal activity is very high, so promoting night safari is not suggested at all. But in order to promote, give some first hand experience to the people who are over enthusiastic, who want to see what animals are doing in the night, some national parks are doing night safaris also, like Periyar, Bandipur and all. They are doing some places and some tracks without disturbing the much about the animal habitat. But as a mass tourism, it's not not advisable, because night time and early the time where it's time for animals, so it's better not to disturb them with the lights and the horns of our vehicles. Thanks a lot. Yeah, somebody is asking me, Deepika, about child awareness. Yeah, I already talked about in the video itself. Once the session is ended, I will definitely share this video. You can watch. I have talked about how to create awareness to children about the environment. I have talked the length and breadth of it. You can go through it. So it feels good to interact with you all, and I'm very much honored to be invited to this session and talking to you all. And I feel this platform will create awareness to more photographers and who want to be a conservationist also. Thank you for watching and patiently hearing my opinion about all the questions you have sent. I feel I have done a justice to the session I took. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.